Guys, I'm sorry. We're gonna geek here. We're gonna act like a kid in a candy shop. It's really hard not to, everybody, because right after, moments after, the Philadelphia Phillies bring in the flame-throwing closer in Yoan Duran, Philadelphia shoring up their bullpen, thinking they got their guy and they're ready to take on the NL East. How does David Stearns and this Mets team respond? They go ahead and say, checkmate, baby, and they land one of the best relievers available that I have the graphic run on. With a spelling error, I apologize with Mr. Helsley. I always forget if there's one or two L's in there. Either way, everybody, Ryan Helsley is officially a New York Met, and the Mets are parting ways with prospects that outside of Jesus Baez, I am more than content with parting ways with, and what is another massive trade here for this Mets bullpen. You guys thought it was a big deal enough when we saw them acquiring Tyler Rogers. No, this bullpen just got so much better. Now you have Edwin Diaz, Brooks Raley, Gregory Soto, Ryan Helsley, Tyler Rogers, Ryan Stanek on the back end. I am feeling spoiled right now, Mets fans. Coming in live on a replay for our latest New York Metropolitan breaking news segment to get into here, folks. It is our third form of content on the day as we dropped a video for each and every one of you. Then we went live breaking down all you need to know about the Mets acquiring the submarining, fantastic veteran right-hander and Mr. Tyler Rogers in our live show earlier that you guys can check out. And now, what do the Mets do? They go ahead and they land themselves one of the best surefire setup / closer options and Ryan Helsley. Helsley's known for his save artist, his prowess there as that top guy in that Cardinals bullpen, and folks, the Mets have just landed him. I am ecstatic right now. Words cannot properly comprehend, or I can't even properly comprehend what I'm saying, rather, because of the fact that it's one thing to go ahead and land yourself a Tyler Rogers. It's another to go ahead and make the splash the way the Mets just did, everybody. This is a game changer. This takes this bullpen from good to now over the top. How we feeling, everybody? Chime in live on a replay. Spam that like and subscribe on your way in. I want to know how you guys are feeling here to the breaking news that, yes, Ryan Helsley is officially coming to the New York Mets. And if you guys want to know how significant this type of upgrade to the bullpen is, let me enlighten you. Let me remind you just a little bit here, everybody. Mind you, Helsley has been nails every single season of his career. Now enters the fold with this Mets team when, mind you, he isn't even putting up like his most flashy numbers. I apologize. That's the wrong player there. There's Ryan Helsley there in 36 games so far this year. And this graphic might be off by just a couple days only because I made this graphic going back to the last time that we talked about Helsley and I didn't have the error there. But you guys can see right around a 3-year rate for the veteran right-hander, but he has one of the nastier breaking balls in the game. And oh yeah, he's got 100 in his back pocket without a problem. The fact that the Mets were able to not only upgrade the bullpen to the significance that they did, building a super bullpen, which is exactly what I was literally just telling you guys when we were finishing our last live show just a couple minutes ago, saying I will not be surprised if the Mets land another significant reliever, potentially even having higher upside there than what we saw in Mr. Tyler Rogers. And you can rightfully argue that because, folks, the stuff is through the roof. Look at the numbers down with me. Ryan Helsley has been a dog, will continue to be a dog. And what the Mets gave up outside of Jesus Baez, listen, Nate Dome, I'm wishing the absolute best. The other prospect the Mets parted with, wishing the absolute best. Baez was the only top prospect that the Mets parted with in this discussion here. And while I like Baez a lot, and that is a prospect that I honestly could see down the line, us saying, damn, I really wish we didn't trade him in hindsight. Outside that, however, there really isn't any prospect that I feel that same way about. I am more bothered by the Mets trading away Ryan Helsley, trading away Jesus Baez more than I am us trading Drew Gilbert in that other trade. I think Jesus Baez has without question the highest upside out of all the players the Mets have traded away today. Between Jose Butto, Jesus Baez, Drew Gilbert, Blade Tidwell, Nate Dome, and the other one, I just don't want to butcher his last name. Out of everyone in that group that the Mets have parted ways with in their farm today, Jesus Baez was the one that still stings a little bit for me, but it makes it a lot easier knowing that you just brought in Ryan effing Helsley, one of the best shutdown relievers in all of the National League. Another flamethrower with some nasty breaking pitches when he is right. This is a perfect duo, a gorgeous tandem between himself now and Edwin Diaz, everybody. Mets fans, in case you guys want to really grasp just how significant of a move this is for the Mets to bring in Helsley. This makes their bullpen without question one of the best already in Major League Baseball. Do you understand how big of a deal that is to say as a Mets fan when we know the bullpen has been a problem for them? Mets getting fleeced all day. I would say the exact same thing, and if I'm a casual, and that's okay. You have to give to get, believe it or not, everybody. And now, thankfully, for the first time in a long time, the Mets have such an abundance of options that they have there in the minor leagues that they were willing to sacrifice, bite the bullet, part ways with some decent to obviously mid-tier guys to back-end guys in the farm, while it doesn't hurt at all the direction of the farm at all. Mind you guys, the Mets did this without giving up some very key assets that they still could have parted with, so we're going to wait and see, obviously, to see what is next on the horizon for this Mets club, because they're not done making moves. I can say in confidence that not only are the Mets not done making moves, but I will be a little surprised if we don't get another move today, or at least by time early tomorrow in the AM. I fully expect more to happen on that front, everybody. The Mets are not done at all. David Stearns, it was reported earlier today that the Mets were the most aggressive team in trade talks right now, and no one was lying. Nothing about that reporting would tell you that that's a lie. The Mets have been absolutely through the roof trying to get the job done right now when it comes to their trade. So as you guys hit that like and subscribe button on your way, and I want to know your initial reactions to the latest news that is Ryan Helsley coming to Queens here on what is going to be a fantastic tenure. Helsley, just like Tyler Rogers, is a free agent at the end of the season, but like everything else, everybody, if these guys come in and perform, what makes you think that the Mets wouldn't bring them back or that they wouldn't want to return to Queens, right? This is not the Mets under the Wilponsian era, where as soon as you knew that a guy was in a contract year, they weren't returning. Far from the case now, and Helsley has an opportunity to not only return for 2026, but who knows? There is a world where the Mets bring back Helsley next year because Edwin Diaz decides to walk there in free agency. I'm not saying that's a lock to happen, but the Mets want to add stability in case Edwin Diaz is not here next season. And now they have added that, not only in Tyler Rogers, who can be utilized in various ways, as well as Ryan Helsley. Guys, we are spoiled. This bullpen is without question the deepest it has ever been in my entire fandom over the past decade. That is not an exaggeration. I cannot remember the last time the Mets bullpen was this good with this much quality talent from top to bottom. The fact that guys like Ryan Stanek, the fact that guys like Huascar Brosman, who was just sent down the minor leagues, the fact that those guys are more of an afterthought for you and are far from the only guys that you're relying on. Reed Garrett, mind you, as well. This is going to lessen the blow big time for Reed. This changes everything, everybody. I need you guys to grasp how important this kind of trade is. This makes your bullpen go from solid to one of the best in baseball. There is no in between. Dave with a $5 haul. Phils gave up nothing for Duran. That's a lie. The Phils gave up multiple top prospects for Duran, as a matter of fact. Mets did not give up more for Helsley at all. That's a complete lie. Outside of there in Jesus Baez, I'm more than content with what the Mets gave up here and what was still a rental reliever. Greg with the $2. Thank you kindly for that, Greg. Greg says, now this makes Alonso Lindor and Soto head. This is true, Greg. That is what Luis Robert is for when the Mets acquire him and he goes back to being an MVP caliber bat. I'm half joking as I say that because I have a lot of confidence that the Mets are going to be landing a guy like Robert, Cedric Mullins, someone along those lines. Obviously, there aren't too many good options offensively to choose from leading up until the deadline, but what we see there and Luis Robert, that feels like the next domino to fall, or close to. I will tell you this, everybody. Unless the White Sox get blown away by the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Padres, a different contending team, I'm expecting Luis Robert to be in a Mets uniform this time tomorrow. Let's see here. Bullpen got more gas than a Boa market. Love to see that. Thank you so much for the donation, Thomas. That's hilarious. And I want to see your initial reactions to the north of 1,000 people watching live on a replay, getting into the latest in Mets land as the Mets are bringing in veteran right-hander Ryan Helsley, one of the best, most shutdown relievers in all the National League, in turn for a 3-prospect trade in which the Mets traded one more coveted prospect to a degree and Jesus Baez, the other in Nate Dome. Listen, the Mets have an abundance of pitching talent. They're going to be more than fine parting ways with Dome, and as well as the other prospect that they gave up there who was a little bit more on the lesser end. But I definitely want to know if you guys are for or against this trade happening, one, and everything in between. So let's go ahead and let's get the poll going in the live show right now. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way, and everybody help us get to 100 likes. Listen, we got 1,000 concurrent viewers. If half you guys could hit that like and subscribe button for your guy Wardy, if you find yourself enjoying this Metropolitan Breakdown as we cover every single thing regarding the Mets throughout the 162, rain, sunshine, does not matter. We have you covered, everybody. And leading up to the deadline, we're going to be live on the platform all day tomorrow for MLB trade deadline coverage. But the great news now is that the more moves the Mets do tonight, the less they're going to have to do tomorrow. And the less they're going to have to feel in desperation to get a move done by a certain point. I love the fact that the Mets have pretty much completely shored up their bullpen before we even reach the day of the deadline itself. If the Mets add anything more to the bullpen, I'll lose my mind. I feel spoiled now. I think the Mets have exactly what they needed. We're going to break down this bullpen configuration in just a minute, everybody. Shout out all my live members, including Anthony, great member of the chat. Appreciate to have you in here, my guy. Let's put up here a poll now for each and every one of you guys to answer, and then let's get this party started. I haven't eaten dinner. I haven't eaten a single thing yet today, guys. I've been behind this computer since, I kid you not, 12 p.m. today. I have been behind this computer all day like I will be tomorrow. Please know that the grind never stops for each and every one of you, so please bear that in mind as you hit those buttons on your way in. We see always with the $5 Stearns doing the Soto shuffle. We still have not traded any of our top 100 prospects. LGM, I know, you love to see it. Stearns is working this big time. If you're going to have to give up quantity, I'd rather you give up quantity versus quality. And outside of Jesus Baez, everything else is pretty much quantity. None of these other guys I can sit here and say, uh-oh, we have a big concern in a couple of years. And they blossom, good for them, great for them. But I'll worry about that when I need to worry about that. Not now, when the Mets are clearly in a win now stage. They clearly needed to upgrade their bullpen, and they had to make sure that they didn't half-ass this bullpen the way they have done countless time and time again each of the past 4 years under Steve Cohen. This is the first year in Steve Cohen's regime that the Mets finally went out and not only made their bullpen good, but made it amongst the best in baseball. That is not an exaggeration. Find me a bullpen that's so much better than what the Mets have right now. And Edwin Diaz, Ryan Helsley, Tyler Rogers, Gregory Soto, Brooks Raley, Reed Garrett, Ryan Stanek. That's your 1 through 7, everybody. I am amped right now, if you guys can't tell. I am amped. Listen, I get excited about moves all the time. This is a different story. This is a needle mover. This gets you amped up. Absolutely love it. Let's see. Jose Budo said, a little sad because I was here from the beginning as someone who's been in the Mets organization since he was 19 years of age. He said he was surprised. He didn't expect this, but he's happy to be a Giant. Best of luck there in San Fran, Jose. Literally wishing you the best. We got Ryan Helsley. We got Tyler Rogers. I think we're going to be all right. All right, guys, let's get this poll up. Mets land Helsley for prospects. Baez, Dome, and how do I pronounce his last name? Hold on, everybody. I'm just double checking. Make sure I'm not missing. Oh my God. I'm so happy. I'm stupid happy right now. I don't think I've been this happy. Let me clarify. I've been this happy before, but I don't think I have genuinely been this excited and this happy about the trades the Mets do around the deadline since 2021 when they got Javi Baez. And even then, that stung like all hell because you gave up PCA in the process. So it was still one of those things where it's like a double-edged sword. This is the first time going into a deadline where I'm obsessed with what David Stearns is doing, in the sense that last year, Paul Blackburn, Huascar Brazaban, as well as Jesse Winker, those were decent moves, but not a whole lot. They were not needle movers at all. They just make your team a little bit better, if at all, than what it currently is. This makes this team better. This is huge. This is a clear upgrade. Do we have a live stream for the deadline tomorrow? Of course you do. We're going to be live probably around 11 or latest 12 p.m. tomorrow for multiple hours until 3 p.m. And then I'll be live on Bleacher Report's YouTube channel with over 4 million subscribers that you can check out there, as well as their app where millions of people are using every single day. They can check out me and an awesome co-host that many of you guys will check out there shortly. We're going to be live probably from 3 to 4:30 or 5 range, and I'll be back live on YouTube for the remainder of the trade deadline stuff for that final hour or so, regardless of what the Mets do or don't do. Tomorrow's going to be insane. But let me get this poll out for the final time, everybody. Let's see here. Okay, we are all set up. Oh my God, this is insane. This is insane. I can't even keep up with my chat right now. This is absurd. Guys, start spamming the poll if you guys haven't already to the breaking news that Ryan Helsley is a New York Met. And before we talk more on the greatness that is Ryan Helsley and how excited we are as Mets fans, everybody, I do want to give a quick shout out to our amazing sponsors today that make today's show happen, as always, for our latest breaking news segment. And please make sure, everybody, if you haven't already, to check out our awesome friends at SeatGeek that have you covered for all of your ticketing needs. As you guys can see in the SeatGeek app, it's so easy to navigate. You have a grading scale from 1 to 10, red to green, telling you if it's a good bang for your buck or not. And as you guys can see, if it's in the red in the 1 through 4 range, it's not a good bang for your buck. But it's in the 7 through 10 range, it's a great bang for your buck, and you should get tickets there in the SeatGeek app. So with SeatGeek, with over 70,000 active events to choose from, making them the #1 rated ticketing app in the game today for a reason. Check them out by clicking the link down below in the description. That way you too get 10% off your next ticket purchase. And shout out, as always, to our great friends at SeatGeek, as well as our amazing friends here that we have on the platform, everybody, at BetUS, that has you covered for all of your sports betting needs. Make sure you guys bet responsibly should you dabble and have interest. But if you do, head over to betus.com.pa today and utilize our promo code YouTube150 because you two are going to get a 150% bonus on your first deposit. And that's about it. And as you guys can see, I hope none of you did any Clay Holmes K-props today because Clay Holmes was not ideal. Gave up 8 hits, 4 total runs, 2 of them were earned. Another outing for Clay Holmes to tell you why the Mets need either a really strong bullpen or they need to land a starter. They have to do something to shore up what has been the inconsistencies from the length of rotation pieces like Clay Holmes so far this season. So if you guys want to either biasly bet or not biasly bet, get involved in the casino should you wish. Regardless, just make sure you guys do it responsibly and do it by heading over there to betus.com.pa today. Folks, we still have Wardy Day tickets available that I'm going to relay to each and every one of you a little bit later on in the show, but in case you guys have interest, they're linked down below in the description. We have right around 5 tickets or so left, so this puppy's going to sell out at this rate with the way that we're going. So if you guys want to hang out with your guy Wardy or Ryan Helsley, Tyler Rogers, and yes, folks, potentially Luis Robert, among others, are all going to be making their Mets debuts this Friday between the Mets and the Giants. Mind you, the Mets doing this trade means that the Mets may face Jose Budo as soon as this Friday, everybody. I'm going to be there in an exclusive left field lounge with select Mets fans that go out their way to purchase the tickets that we still have available. Again, only a handful left, everybody. It's pinned in the not only the description of the live show that you guys can check out, but I'm also going to pin it once more here for you guys to check out in the live show should any of you guys have interest. So let's go ahead and do that, and then let's break down more on Helsley and this trade because I'm obsessed. This was such a good deal. The fact that the Mets literally looked at the Phillies landing Yoan Duran and were like, yeah, all right, you did that. Watch this. It was the checkmate of the century. And this is exactly what you need an aggressive Pobo to do. Miss me with the nonsense from the fans that said, oh, Sleepy Stearns isn't going to do anything. Oh, David Stearns did nothing during his time in Milwaukee. Why would he do something with the Mets? Understand context, please and thank you. David Stearns finally having the pressure on his shoulders a little bit because unlike last year, where the Mets far exceeded expectations after being 11 games below 500, they were not going to be all in at the trade deadline. Now, a year later, after signing Juan Soto, of course you're all in at the trade deadline. After you went 2 games shy of the dance this past fall, you had to make moves of significance. And the best part, everybody, I cannot emphasize this enough, the Mets aren't done. Do not be surprised if they make another trade either today or obviously more moves are going to be happening heading into tomorrow. But rest assured, this Mets team is not done. Even after bringing in 3 fantastic relievers of their bullpen and Gregory Soto, Ryan Helsley, and Tyler Rogers, they still want to add more. This is huge. This changes everything. This puts further pressure as well there that we see. If we land Kwan, it would be nuts. It would be nuts if we land Steven Kwan. But I'm telling you right now, I don't think the Mets are going to land Kwan. I really think they're going to land Robert. I think it's going to be Robert or Mullins. I will be genuinely surprised if Luis Robert or Cedric Mullins is not a New York Met by this time that we find ourselves talking there tomorrow. I really think it's going to be one of them barring changes. But to expand more on what's happening in Mets land, everybody, the Mets acquire Ryan Helsley. Let me enlighten you just how good Helsley is in case you guys have been living under a rock. I really got to enlighten you on this. And we have 1,300 concurrent viewers, guys. Can we please get a 500 likes? Literally a quarter of you guys just need to hit that like button and subscribe as well, because now that we've hit 34,000 subscribers, we're giving away a jersey of whatever player you currently want on the Mets team to one lucky subscriber. We'll be giving that away approximately next week, right around next Wednesday or so, barring changes in our latest post-game segment for you guys to check out. All thanks for helping us get to our next 1,000 subscriber milestone, meaning once we hit 35,000, we're going to be giving away another jersey. So hit that like and subscribe button on your way in for For all things Mets content, we have you covered. We have the largest #1 platform covering the Mets as an independent content creator, not actually the Mets themselves, mind you, since we've been doing this over the past 4.5, 5 years now. Let's see there. I'm spazzing in my studio apartment. Love to see you, Truman. Also, guys, how's the audio on my end? I think we officially have the audio all figured out for the most part, knocking on wood. My buddy, shout out my guy Nick for helping me get this set up. I have a Shure SM7B, one of the best mics you could possibly utilize, but I haven't really used it at all the past 2 years because I had an issue with it and I couldn't figure it out myself. Thankfully, my buddy Nick, who's literally a musician and, you know, works on music and mixes music for a living, he was able to figure this out after a couple hours of us grinding it out together before I did my post-game live show. So I think the audio's all good too now, guys. So we are cooking on the platform. Porg with a $2 holla. We need Quan. We need some sort of base guy. I do agree that the Mets need to add another bat for sure. I'm not going to say that I need to be stubborn that it has to be Quan, but they certainly need to add more there. Xavier with a $2 holla. Thank you for that, Xavier. We have a ton. We have a top 10 now without losing big prospects. Exactly. With the exception of Jesus Baez, the Mets lost nothing here. They really didn't. I shouldn't say nothing, but the Mets didn't lose anything that they're going to lose sleep over. I think that's the most important thing. Casey with the $5 holla. Thank you for that, Casey. Genuinely wish I could say I'm excited, but the only things that have been consistent with this team have been inconsistent in the last 2 months. Hard to trust. That is true, Casey, and we can all agree. The Mets need to get the job done when it comes to hanging with runners of scoring position, let alone hitting at all. They were lifeless the past 2 days, and their series defeat and getting swept in San Diego. And listen, I get it. It's gorgeous in San Diego. It's very easy to lose track of maybe focus at times, i.e. Sean Manaea and his final year with the Padres. If you know, you know there. But the point I'm trying to make is that the Mets just didn't have it. And I don't know if they didn't have it just because of the fact that the trade deadline was coming up and there was a lot of rumblings going on. I don't know if they didn't have it because it's more of a continuation of what their season has been. I think that is the case. I just think the bats did not come to play. But now you need to wake up if you're the Mets, right? Because you got swept heading in the trade deadline. David Stearns is not at all going to hold back from making moves. If anything, this further amplifies him to make moves. And Jose Butto getting his absolute tits lit a day ago is exactly why we are not at all surprised to see Butto traded. He was not going to be staying here. He was going to be out of here sooner rather than later regardless. And then you add in the fact the Mets have all these other prospects still in the organization. So whether they make another bigger splash than what they've done or whether they stand pat, they're in very good standing still with their farm, even after trading away the pieces that they trade away today. There's only one prospect in that mix that I would say, damn, I'm not happy the Mets traded with my initial gut reaction, and that's Jesus Baez, because Jesus Baez is very talented, a very good raw talent. Hope you and the fam are great, Wardy. Michael, same to you and yours, brother. Thank you so much for that donation. God bless. Really do appreciate you taking the time to donate that. Phil's losing 9-2. F him. F them. Love to see it. Love to see it, everybody. We know that the Phils are going to be our constant battle for a while going forward as we're both trying to obviously secure that first seed in the NL East. James is hyped in the chat. James, all right, guys, you guys know James Shiano from Mets Up. We were just texting right before this trade happened as well. And hilariously enough, we were talking not all that long ago, and then the Duran move happened. I was like, oh my God, not loving that, right? I was talking earlier, funny enough, with James's co-host, Mark. We were on a phone call, and as the phone call happened, the Mets traded for Tyler Rogers. So a lot of moves, a lot of things buzzing today, James. But we can all agree that David Stearns has just built an entirely new bullpen, and he did it by not trading any of our top 15 prospects. I personally had Jesus Baez in my top 10 prospect rankings. I'm really bullish on Baez, but outside of Baez, I agree in the sense that the Mets gave up like little to nothing in the sense of what you're acquiring. Even when you look at the Tyler Rogers trade, miss me with the nonsense of the Mets got completely fleeced. They only get fleeced if the following happens in the case of Rogers. It's A, Rogers pitches like terrible and he just doesn't adjust in New York, and B, then he walks, and then we see one of, if not multiples of, the Buttos, the Gilberts, and the Tidwells blossom there in San Fran. But here's another thing. Even if those guys blossom in San Fran, there was never a lock that they were going to do that here because they were never going to be given the same opportunity. There's a reason why the Mets parted with these guys. It has a lot to do with the fact that they didn't have the team fit. Guys didn't have minor league options left, like Jose Butto, for example, and 2 out of the 3 guys that the Mets trade today and that first trade for Rogers were Rule 5 eligible at the end of the year, and the Mets probably weren't going to be protecting them all. All the more reason to part ways with these pieces at the right price, and now you bring in a fantastic submarine. Guys, I don't think you guys understand how obsessed I am not only with Tyler Rogers, because there's no other pitcher in the league right now like him. He is the only guy that's going out here that is literally a submariner that has a 1.8 ERA with a .8 whip. He's disgusting. Then you bring in Ryan Helsley, who, again, unless you've been living under a rock, everybody, Ryan Helsley has been one of the best relievers in all of Major League Baseball. Not just the National League. Helsley has been an absolute dog for years now. And not only this season, as you guys can see, with 36 innings, a 10.25 K per nine, a 3.5 walks per nine, a 3 ERA, a 3.5 expected ERA. Funny thing about Helsley is he's actually putting up the worst numbers of his career since the 2021 season. Why is that notable? Because you're telling me that a flat ERA at 3 is the worst numbers that Helsley could have? Yes, folks, that's in fact correct. That's how good this guy is. Last year, 65 innings, 66 innings, almost 11 K per nine, 3 walks per nine, a .4 home run per nine. It's now up to 1 this year. The home run ball has been his biggest bugaboo that we've seen. A 2 ERA, a 2.7 expected ERA, and a 2.4 FIP. The year before that, 2023, 36 innings, roughly 13 strikeouts per nine, 4 walks per nine, a .25 home run per nine, which is just insane. 2.4 ERA, 2.2 expected ERA, 2.2 FIP. I'm drooling at the mouth if you can't tell right now. In 2022 for the Cards, 64 innings, 13 K per nine, 2.7 walks per nine, 1.25 ERA, 2 ERA, 2.3 FIP. He's a dog, everybody. He's an absolute dog. And then did I mention the guy throws absolute gas? Did I mention the fact that he's literally one of the best relievers all baseball? Let's not forget that. I want to remind every single one of you guys about that as well. That's very important context to hear, everybody. Got a lot of donations to that I'm trying to get to as quick as I can. Robert Cruz and Sandy, and I'll be happy, says Dave. Thank you for the $5 holiday. Love you. Anthony Como says we're looking at bats. Wow, color me shocked. It's almost like we've covered everything regarding the Mets the past month plus to tell you that they were always going to land a bat. I don't need Anthony to reaffirm what we all have known for weeks on end, that the Mets are inevitably going to do something that we all know. I knew the Mets were going to be landing multiple high leverage relievers, but I did not think that they were going to land Rodgers. That really surprised me. I knew Helsley was in the mix. We talked about him over the past week on the platform because the Mets have been linked to him. But for the Mets to go out and get Helsley too, to make sure that teams like other contenders like the Yanks, etc., did not get him, oh my God, I love it. Tito with the $5 holla. What would it take to get Alcantara here and low? LGM, God bless you and your fam. Thank you so much, Tito. Love you so much. Love what you do. I love what you do, which is supporting the platform and being an amazing Mets fan. So thank you for that. My reply right away in regards to what would it take to land Sandy, I think Sandy's at a premium price right now. I'm not sure if the Mets are going to be willing to go there. There's been active dialogue going on between the two teams, but I will say this. I think a trade for Sandy is still more likely to happen than Brandon Lowe. Maybe I'm wrong for saying that. I know the Mets love Lowe, but I know the Rays don't want to trade Lowe, and they're doing everything in their power to not move him, and they're doing everything in their power not to sell much at this year's deadline. They want to go all in and go for their playoff push. So we'll see what happens on that front, but thank you so much again for that donation, my friend. I do appreciate that. I'm trying to play catch up, everybody. If I miss anyone's donations, please do not take it personal. When I got 1,500 people concurred in the live chat, naturally I'm going to miss some comments, but I'm doing my absolute best here while giving you guys some analysis and initial reaction to this breakdown of a trade. Juliet with the $5 holla. The market dictates a high price for good relievers. Look at what the Phillies gave up. I know. They gave up multiple top prospects for Yoan Duran. The difference, however, in that trade a little bit is the fact that Duran is not a free agent until 2028. In the case of Helsley and Rodgers, the only downside that we have with acquiring these two relievers, same as the case with Gregory Soto, is that they're all rentals. So there is no commitment beyond the 2025 season with them. The Mets are going to need to do everything in their power to bring back as much of this super bullpen as possible for next season. As long as they go out and thrive and do what they're supposed to do, the Mets are cooking right now, everybody. This bullpen configuration is dummy with how good it is. We still need another bat. I agree with you, Daniel, but you want to know the best part, Daniel? The Mets aren't done making moves. That's the beauty of it. That's why we can be excited about that. And as we take a greater look at Ryan Helsley and his game, you guys can see here, look at the baseball savant numbers with me. Look at all that sexiness. Look at that red. All right, 95th percentile in breaking run value. Yeah, why? Because he's got one of the nastiest curveballs in baseball. That's why. 69th percentile in expected ERA, 59th in expected batting average. Remember when the Mets played a game today? Because I don't. Genuinely. Like, that. This is one of the few, this is probably the only day all season long that I didn't bat an eye at all throughout the entire Mets game because of all of our traded line coverage. And I didn't miss anything, clearly. They couldn't hit a lick. Clay Holmes couldn't get out of his own mess. And we needed to make moves. So here we are. 99th percentile in fastball velocity. I'm salivating, everybody. He sits 99. He touches 102. Oh my God. He's in the 6th percentile in average exit velocity. Why? Because when you throw gas, naturally, if it gets barreled, it's going to be see ya. It's going to be far. Not surprised to see that. Give me a second, everybody. I'm a little congested. Got under the weather today, sadly. Rocking with a little cold. Gonna blow out the nose quick. And then we're gonna break down more of this amazing trade for the Metsies. All right. Back into this one, everybody. What do we see? Ground ball percentage, 70th percentile, 72nd percentile, and barrel percentage. So he really is not getting barreled much, even though he's giving up hard exit velocity. K percentage, 75th percentile, right? 86th percentile in whip percentage. 94th in chase percentage because everyone is biting, swinging, and missing when they're facing Mr. Helsley. Why? Because he's got the slider that he throws the most at 48% of the arsenal. Mind you, it sits right around the same as Diaz in the sense that's around 90 miles per hour. It's disgustingly good. Then you got the four-seam fastball, everybody. The only people that call this trade horrible are the same people who clearly have no clue what they're talking about. Let's give a big shout to Boss Fight 169 in the chat for being as out of touch as they come when it comes to chiming in the chat and having no clue what they're talking about. Happy to have you in. Thank you for the view. Four-seam fastball, 45% of the time. 99 miles per hour there is sitting, going all the way up to 102 plus for Ryan Helsley. The curveball at just 5% of the arsenal, we see right around 80 miles per hour, but he can obviously get into the lower 80s there. And the cutter that he only has in his back pocket at 2% of the arsenal, the cutter there's at right around 94 as well. So that is what you guys got there in the Helsley breakdown when looking at his arsenal. And this guy's nuts. When we get into it a little bit more here on Helsley, everybody, I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Let me just double check to make sure that's the case. Hold on here. Let's get into his splits for a second because I want to know how good does Helsley attack lefty batters, because that I don't know off the top of the dome here. So we're going to go ahead and look it up. If you guys ever need to look up splits for players, I highly recommend using something like, Baseball Reference. Really gets the job done. Because why? You go on Baseball Reference right away, you click a little tab that says more Helsley pages, then you go for more Helsley pages and you click on splits and you go to the 2025 season. And this season, Ryan Helsley, everybody, when facing left-handed batters, he has been as follows. Against lefties, he has given up an opponent batting average of 239. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. It's even better than I could have ever imagined. Ryan Helsley has reverse splits, everybody. This is our David Robertson. This is what this is. This is what this is. This is even better than I thought it could be. All right, guys. For those that don't know what I'm referencing here, David Robertson, who signed with the Philadelphia Phillies on a prorated $16 million contract a couple years ago. Mind you, he's 40 years of age. I get that. But D-Rob, when at his best, is one of the best relievers in baseball. And why is he one of the best relievers in baseball? It's not just because he's consistent and gets a lot of swing and miss. It's because of the fact that he attacks lefty batters as good as any other lefty specialist in baseball. Robertson is known for killing it against lefty batters in particular. In the case of Ryan Helsley, everybody, Helsley has been dynamite is what I should say, against left-handed batters. This season, he's given up an opponent batting average of 239 and a 580 OPS when facing southpaws. Why is that important? Left-handed batters, rather. That's important because when facing right-handed batters, we see it as follows. It's a 279 batting average and an 810 OPS. So right-handers have actually hit Helsley pretty damn well this year. But when it comes to lefties, the guy that we know that the Mets need to go out and attack, this is huge. This is massive because between Gregory Soto and Ryan Helsley, the Mets are going to be able to go out and show out against some of the best lefty bats in all the National League. That's important when you bear in mind the competition. The Phillies, you got the big boppers and Schwarbo and Harper leading the way. Right, Trey Turner can be a menace, but he's batting from the right side, so that doesn't fit my narrative. When we get onto the Padres, right, you look at a guy like Jackson Merrill can do damage. They have, obviously, they're more of their big boppers from the right side in one Nando as well as Manny Machado, but we know that that won't hurt to a certain degree. We also look at the Dodgers. They have their fair share of key lefty bats, headlined by Mr. Freddie Freeman there. Shohei Ohtani, obviously, is the one who headlines all of it, as a matter of fact. I just blanked on Shohei for a second. The point I'm trying to make is, everybody, is that the Mets are not only building a strong bullpen, but their bullpen is easily one of the best in baseball. Like, this is a night and day difference from where we were 24 hours ago. That is why we are as ecstatic as we are. Helsley is going to want closer money, so this is a rental unless Diaz leaves. Yeah, Matthew, but here's a good thing. At least we know that, hopefully, at minimum, one of them is coming. if not both, for the 2026 season. You're not wrong, though, in the sense that Helsley's absolutely going to be looking for a bag this offseason, but it's definitely one of those things where when you look at Helsley, when you look at Rodgers, when you look at Soto, they're all rentals, but this is what you do when you're in a win-now stage. This is where you put up or shut up, and how many years have us as Mets fans cried to the rooftop saying, oh my God, my team just can't make any competent moves whatsoever. They can't go out and make the moves that are best for this team in a win-now stage. Well, folks, after now entering year 5 under Steve Cohen's regime as owner, we have officially made it. We are finally here. It took 5 years, but we finally have a front office that knows what the hell they're doing. We finally have a front office that did not sit on their hands and say, you know what? We have clear issues for our bullpen. Let's not address it. They finally addressed it. The only thing that the Mets need to do, and I would argue heavily on the need front, is they have to add another bat. They're going to add another bat. On the rotation front, would we like them to add there? Yes, absolutely. But if the Mets, for whatever reason, do not add to the rotation, give one of the damn kids a chance that you have in the past 2 months. Whether it's Jonathan, Brandon Sproat, or Noel McLean, push comes to shove, you got to consider one of these kids at some point. And as you can see right now, everybody, the Mets are in a prime position to go out and still make moves happen without giving up the entire farm. This is another thing that's so appealing. If this was not a personal slight at all, but if this was Zach Scott, we would have lost the entire bullpen in the process. Like, literally the entire bullpen. If this was Billy Epler, it would have been a huge overpay as well, because Zach Scott was acting GM for the Mets when he knew that nothing was a lock for him to necessarily stay there. He was thrown in that role after being denied by Sandy Alderson and Steve Cohen as the actual GM of the Mets. He lost in his interview process to Jared Porter, who was initially the GM. Porter, after trading for Lindor, making one of the most impactful trades in Mets history over the past 5 years, Porter's out because he has a scandal. Why? Because he's a freak and has to send his dick pic to a girl that doesn't want it. Then you fast forward, Zach Scott's acting GM. Zach Scott's acting GM, he trades away PCA. Javi Baez was great, but had the thumbs down, and Zach unfortunately couldn't get out of his own mess with what happened outside of baseball towards the end of that year. Fast forward to Billy Epler. Billy Epler comes in, didn't have a great tenure with the Angels, but we knew that it was Artie Moreno having his mitts on everything and not letting him properly operate as a GM. Epler had a lot of willingness to make splashes, was willing to spend the money because he knew that Steve Cohen was backing him. But what Epler failed to do was to properly evaluate the prospect farm. And mind you, the farm wasn't nearly as deep as what it is now, so it's not really as much of a fault on Billy as it is just a matter of fact. Then in 2023, when the Mets sell off and they go ahead and they acquire Drew Gilbert, as well as Ryan Clifford and Luis Angel Acuna in the big trades for Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. Good job by Epler to kind of recoup those assets and build the farm much greater at that time 2 years ago from what it is now. Fast forward a couple years later, Luis Angel Acuna is on the cusp of being traded. Drew Gilbert was just traded a couple hours ago. And what does this mean for David Stearns? It's David Stearns' time to go out and prove why we brought him in the first place. Why we know that David Stearns should go out and operate as one Pobo should and not act like a guy who's in desperation because of the fact that, his job is, waiting in the wings, the way that it was for Zach Scott and Billy Epler. There was no guarantee that either of those guys were going to be the Mets GMs beyond their first season with the Mets. David Stearns isn't going anywhere, but it's about time that he went out and showed us with our very eyes why we should pump back on our PTSD from years prior to the deadline and to finally know that we have a farm that's going to make these things happen without depleting the entire thing. That is the biggest takeaway from this one, everybody. Oh my God, it's official. Look at this sexy man. Look at him. Look at him. Ah, I love it. Love to see it. David Stearns, you slick SOB. Amazing, guys. Electric right now. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way in as we're reacting live in real time to the Mets acquiring, flame-throwing, star reliever, star closer from the St. Louis Cardinals turned setup man for Edwin Diaz and Ryan Helsley for a 3-prospect trade in Jesus Baez, Nate Dome, and right-hand pitcher Frank Elisalt, who was obviously not even close to the Mets in their top prospect rankings. This is huge. This is massive. And I'm very grateful to say that I have been beating this drum for all of you casuals, all of you doubters of mine, saying, Wardy, David Stearns is not going to do anything at this year's deadline. Wardy, the Mets are not going to do anything whatsoever. Guys, one, eat crow, but I say that jokingly because I get it. Everyone has PTSD when you're a Mets fan. I can't fault you for being like that. But damn, does it feel good for what we've been calling out from what's been reported and for these to actually become reality. You know how many times I've talked about reports that don't even get close to touching what actually happens with this ball club? You guys know very well if you follow the platform because we cover every rumor, every report regarding this Mets team. Restart the live show. Wardy, I just joined. No, Frank. How about you get cut up, baby? We're amped up. We're feeling electric right now. Ryan Helsley's a New York Met, and they didn't even give up a top 10 prospect outside of, you could argue, Jesus Baez, but, you know, for the most part, he's kind of more on the outside looking in. Tane, when did you donate, brother? Let me see. Oh, here we go. Love to see it. Let's see in the chat. Oh, it's my guy, Anthony Viola. That's who it is, T-Gangster. The name might be different, but the PFP is the same. I know who you are. Do we still go get a starter and or a bat? Yes, the Mets get one of the two. I don't know if they get both, but they 100% land one of the two within the next 12 to 24 hours. Guarantee it. What bat are we getting? Right now, I think it's Luis Robert's job to lose in the sense that I think the Mets are going to land Luis Robert. If they don't, okay. I'll take a Steven Kwan. I'll take a Cedric Mullins to a degree. I'll take a Ramon Laureano to a degree. I just don't know really how much he makes a fit defensively for this team as much. I'll gladly take a Brandon Lowe if you're going to push him more to the DH position. But a lot more things that obviously need to be had that we're waiting to find out the results on that front. Guys, we're almost at 400 likes in the live show. Thank you kindly for that. Continue to hit that like and subscribe on your way in, everybody, as we're breaking down the latest here in Metsland as the Mets went out and acquired Ryan Helsley. For those in the back that are unaware as to how good Ryan Helsley is, everybody, let me enlighten you. Not only is he statistically having the worst season of his career in like 5 years, when he has a 3 ERA, mind you. So that's the context. But he has a flat 3 ERA, and it's the worst season statistically he's had in like 5 years. That's fantastic. Then you add in the fact that not only do you add a short-fire, gorgeous flamethrower to pair with Edwin Diaz, but to have that along with a submarining, soft-tossing right-hander and Tyler Rogers. I love the contrastiness. I love the fact that David's listening. What did I say for the longest time, everybody? Brooks Raley's a stud, but you have to go out and you have to land a flamethrowing southpaw to complement him. Otherwise, it's not looking too great when you look at your lefty options. They go out and they land Gregory Soto. Perfect compliment to Brooks Raley. What did the Mets need to complement Edwin Diaz? They needed another absolute dog of a setup man, if not a closer himself. They went out and did that. And everything in between. This bullpen configuration, again, guys, is as good as they come in Major League Baseball now. I don't know what it's like to be this spoiled as a Mets fan in the sense that I've never seen them have a super bullpen like this. On paper, it's stupid. Like, it's actually stupid. Like, I feel bad for some of the teams the Mets are going to play right now in the sense that this is going to be a human highlight reel. And the fact that the Mets next series is the Giants again when we swept them, and now we're back at Citi Field. Let's see. B6 with the $2 holla says, breaking, David Stearns' number is being retired. I wouldn't go that far. Let's win a couple championships with David first, and then we'll worry about trying to retire Buddy's number here. We got in the chat, Salute Wardy. Finally get to see you live and sit back and chill and hear your takes on the trades. Oh, I'm so happy to have you in here, my man. I really am. And I'm so happy to have each and every one of you in here to a roughly 1,500 concurrent viewers. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way in, and I want to see your initial reactions and thoughts here to the latest. And Mets lane, everybody. But, folks, before we continue on with the live show, because we're going to cut things off for replay viewers relatively soon, let's hear a quick word from your guy, Wardy, as we have a very exciting day now with less than 5 tickets available. So if you guys want to hang out with your guy, Wardy, now is pretty much your final time to do so. Listen up real quick what your guy Wardy has to say about our very special Wardy Day, where Ryan Helsley, Tyler Rogers, potentially Luis Robert, and others will all be making their Mets debut for the Mets this Friday at Citi Field. You might as well hang out with your guy Wardy while seeing those debuts happen. Listen up. It's Wardy here, and as you can see, we are at gorgeous Citi Field, and folks, you can get the ultimate, the prime experience with your guy Wardy at our first ever official Wardy Day. August 1st, Mets, San Francisco Giants there for the evening game. The day after the MLB trade deadline, you, your friends, your loved ones, select Mets fans will get the ultimate experience with your guy Wardy. Not only are we going to hang out at the ball game together, but folks, look at the seating. We're going to be live here in the left field lounge. You guys will be able to chop it up with your guy Wardy. We're going to be debating as to who's the best pitcher of the rotation outside of Kodai Senga. We're going to be talking about who's the next best prospect to get called up. How do we feel about the trade deadline acquisitions? And guys, as you get back up here then, we are going to be giving you a $18 drink voucher. And with that drink voucher, you guys are going to be able to hit up the bars that we have right outside of here. So easy, so accessible. Again, prime seating, a truly fantastic experience. Our first ever Wardy Day here at Citi Field, guys, where you will get a chance to hang out with your guy Wardy. And the best part too, not only is it this amazing lounge in left field that you guys will hang out with me, but we're going to be on the field, pre-game access there for a group photo op. So I hope to see you, all you amazing Mets fans there. Click the link if you guys haven't already there to check out our available tickets, and let's go Mets. And not only are we going to be sitting here throughout the course of the ball game, you guys can also check out these seats that we have access to all here in the bar area here, right at the Milagro, where you guys can utilize your $18 drink voucher. Again, this is going to be at Wardy Day, August 1st, 2025. Oh wait, yeah, almost forgot. It's also fireworks night. Bang! Hope to see you guys there. If any of you watching this to the 1,500 concurrent viewers have interest in hanging out with me, again, the tickets are still available. We have right around 5 or so left. I'm not joking. Head over to the pinned chat and the live chat for you guys to click that link, event create, bam your set, or head over there, obviously in the description down below. But let's get back into breaking down more of this. I'm pumped. I haven't been to Citi Field in like 10 years. Well, Shannon, it sounds like you got a reason to go. Hang out with your guy Wardy one of these days. How about that? Tyler Rogers is also going to be a twin for life. Not a twin, but a twin. Funny you say that. Yes, he is a twin for life already. If you don't know, now you know. Tyler Rogers, he's submarining, fantastic right-hander, part of this Mets bullpen. Now that's paired with, not Taylor, even though I wouldn't be opposed to Taylor as a southpaw option. Very, very happy, to say the least, with the stats right now. Merrill Kelly next. Ooh, there's a lot of opportunities as to what is now next for this Mets team. Nicholas with a $5 donation states the following: love you, Wardy. My son and I watch your videos almost every night. That makes my entire day. Thank you so much, first and foremost. I really do appreciate that. Change up the 20-second clip on repeat all episode. Do more than an any by any description. What happened? Wardy Day. Well, here's the thing, Anti. First of all, you don't need to be an ass the way that you just were. Secondly, I watch every single game, and I feel inclined to relay to each and every one of you what happened play-by-play throughout the game, as well as my key takeaways and analysis on a nightly basis. If that isn't too much for you, that's fine, but I'd highly suggest just getting out of here instead of being the little prick that you find yourself being. Yeah, here we are, Anti. It's okay, though. We'll get through this together, I promise. Thank you so much for the viewership and for the condescending comment. Really do appreciate that. Nicholas with the $5 holla says, hey, Wardy, my son and I watch your videos almost every night. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. LFGM, plus, thank God the Phils stink. I mean, listen, the Phils might not be playing great baseball right now, but they're still one of the best teams in all of the National League, and the Mets can't understate that. Mets and Phils playing hot potato with the NL East. They have been, absolutely, no doubt about it. And this Phillies team, it's going to be a battle. We know that we have yet to see the last of them. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens down the stretch heading into postseason play, with both of us obviously going back and forth there, trying to see who's going to be the best team out of the NL East. I have a lot of confidence in my Mets naturally, but I also know that they need to get things figured out there on the offensive end in order to find themselves being satisfied, at least us as fans being satisfied with the on-field product, because the runner and scoring position woes have been too frequent, too reoccurring, and we say that crazy enough, as mind you, as of 48 hours ago, the Mets literally entered the series as, I kid you not, literally, kid you not, the 6th ranked offense in all Major League Baseball per Fangraphs. Robert was 3 for 4 today. Of course he was. I want Robert so bad, it's not even funny. Like, I terribly want Robert, as a matter of fact. I know you're probably saying, Wardy, why are you salivating over a guy who bats right around the Mendoza line? I completely understand it. Completely understand that. Ladin, you're going to get through this too, I promise. It's okay, my friend. It's okay. You know what? Here's the thing for some of you guys who are maybe unaware. If you guys are going to have certain reactions the way that you do in the chat, I'm inclined to reply however which way I feel so. You might not like it, but it doesn't change the fact that nothing's going to be changing because of it. You guys realize that? Like, it's okay, Ladin. I promise it's okay. I'm allowed to have a rebuttal and reply however which way I want to after someone goes out of their way to try to be rather rude to myself. It's okay. Again, I promise we're going to get through this together. At least I know I will. Not sure about yourself. To the 1,300 you guys who are absolutely amazing for hitting that like and subscribe on your way in, I do just want to take the time to actually say one quick thing before we break down more, and that's the fact of how much I greatly appreciate every single one of you, even the trolls, because at the end of the day, you guys give me views. I'm never going to complain about that. If you're going to come in and troll, that's going to happen too. And I might complain, let me preface, but I won't complain about getting the actual view from it itself. But we have built such an amazing platform here over the past 5 years that has not only grown to the largest platform covering the Mets on YouTube from an independent content creator standpoint, but also the fact that the doors that's open for myself on a personal level and on a work level that you guys see constantly is something that I can't even properly put into words other than to say simply thank you. So to everyone that's been a follower of mine, going back to when we first started this channel on the day that Steve Cohen became owner and the first transaction made by the Mets in which they acquired Trevor May and a free agent signing there from the Minnesota Twins. May has since been a friend of mine and has been on the platform that I'm very grateful for. We have really come full circle with a lot of things over the past 4.5, 5 years. And I just want to say once more how much I cannot begin to appreciate every single one of you for the endless support, not only now, but in going forward, because we have been building something truly tremendous here on the platform. And I know that we are far from being done. So thank you again so much to everybody, and to the naysayers and the doubters. That's fine too. You guys are still going to spectate. You're still going to watch, and you're still going to give me a view. So I'm not going to complain about that in the slightest. We got Tim here with a $5 holla. Thank you, Tim. He states the following: love these moves. Add in that Holmes will be in the pen for the playoffs, and that's downright dominant. Oh my God. I mean, listen, I don't think Clay Holmes is going to be an automatic lock to get moved to this bullpen. However, after another rough outing where he wasn't able to go deep for the Mets at all, he gave up 8 hits as well, 4 total runs, only 2 of them being earned. There's definitely a world where we could see Holmes be moved to the pen. But my big question is, if Clay Holmes does get moved to the bullpen again, how's he going to look? Because he hasn't been in the bullpen all year. You know, you can't just assume that he's going to go and be able to lock in right away when he's been stretched as a starter the entire season. You know, I will be surprised if the Mets are very quick to go ahead and do exactly that and actually move him there. Only because of the fact that you throw off his rhythm. There's a lot more that goes in hand with just... It's not as simple as you think. I understand that as a fan, you might say to yourself, oh, we can move this guy to the bullpen right away. You really can't. You can't do that right away for a guy that's been stretched out as a starter all the year. At least I don't think that's going to be the case. However, as I suggested with Will Salmon of The Athletic, as we did a show together right around a week or so ago, you guys can check it out, even though it doesn't really hold much weight now, as the Mets have made plenty moves since then. The point, though, is that I did relay his way at the time that could we see Clay Holmes either utilized as a reliever or at least in the piggyback role? And I think the latter is most certainly what's going to happen with Clay. In case you guys don't understand what I'm referring to there, what I'm saying is that Clay Holmes is a guy that has not been able to provide length for the Mets this year. So if you're the Mets, what's the next best thing to do if you're going to continue to have him as a starter? You want to consider one of your top prospects as a piggyback man. As long as one of Sproat, Ton, or McLean could handle the piggyback role of handling, say, 2, 3, 4 innings after a Clay Holmes start, or vice versa, where one of those prospects gets the start and then Clay Holmes comes in for kind of mid to long relief, kind of like a Trevor Williams type, I think there's a lot of potential right there. But that is all bearing in mind that the Mets do not acquire a starter, and there is still most certainly potential that they do. And I think, honestly, that even after all the assets that the Mets have given up until this point, they're still not opposed to the idea of acquiring a starter, because I think you could argue that maybe the Mets thought that they would have given up some of the assets for a starter that they gave up for relievers otherwise, and that didn't happen. And maybe they have them actually still in-house, and they're saying to themselves, oh shit, like we still have the pieces to go ahead and get this deal done. So I'm not telling you that a starter trade is a lock to happen. However, if the Mets do make a trade with a team like the Miami Marlins especially, I'm going to go on a limb and say that they're going to acquire a starter, whether that's Sandy or Cabrera or the Arizona Diamondbacks for one of Gallen or Kelly. And honestly, that's the area I'm looking at probably more than anything else, right? If Stearns is willing to do this for these rental relievers, high quality rental relievers, how much more of an asking price is a Zach Gallen? How much more of an asking price is a Merrill Kelly? Is it so absurd that you don't even bother to have the conversation? Or is it in the realm of possibility that the Mets are actually pondering it as we speak? That's something that I'm thinking about a lot right now, outside of the Mets obviously adding to their outfield, which we know they will inevitably find themselves doing. We got Dave in the chat with a $5 holla. Thank you so much for that, Dave. Love you so much. And Dave, I hope you know what, Dave? Hold on. I think I actually have some things right here, Dave, that I know that you sent my way, but I want to further thank you for. So give me 1 second while I do that. All right, folks. We're going to go on a really quick tangent, and that's a good one, I promise. And then I will cut things off for my replay viewers, so it's under an hour for each and every one of you. Dave Kaplitz, who's a fantastic supporter of mine, longtime follower. He has been, without question, one of, if not the most generous supporters of mine, as well as just a great friend that I've had the privilege of building a really good relationship with over these years. And Dave always goes out of his way to send things my way to my P.O. box for me to either rock or to showcase in my live streams. And I want to relay some of the things that he sent my way from this past time. I believe I have everything in my possession right now. Dave, if I miss anything, please let me know and I'll double check my my bedroom to see if there's anything else I have that I can showcase later or tomorrow. But Dave is so kind. He sent the following things my way that I want to show each and every one of you. So let's go ahead and do exactly that. As you guys can see here, let's start with the following. One, we got ourselves another new Mets hat. Thank you so much for that, Dave. I greatly appreciate that. I'll be rocking this puppy plenty. I do not have a Mets hat like this, as a matter of fact, with a nice little circle emblem there right in the middle. That's sick. So thank you kindly for that. When we get into the shirts, we have a lot of really cool goodies here, including a Mr. Mets shirt, which is so sick. Like a full Mr. Mets shirt there. I will be rocking that plenty. Don't you guys worry about it. As well as what we have here, and not just any shirt. It's not just any Mets shirt. You guys can see here. It's a Juan Soto Mets shirt, which is sick. I'm very grateful for that. Outside the Juan Soto jersey that I bought myself, like for myself, I've given away multiple Juan Soto jerseys, and I've been gifted multiple Juan Soto shirt jerseys, all courtesy for the most part of my guy Dave. So Dave, know that I love and appreciate you. Thank you so much again for that. Love the shirt. We also have, this out of the entire haul is arguably my favorite thing, and here's why. This is a Mets hoodie, but it's just like the Mets hoodies that you guys would actually see them wear, like the players themselves in the dugout. You see how it's that little like t-shirt short sleeve hoodie, like a nice workout hoodie especially. Love it. That's honestly my favorite because I don't have anything like that at the moment, so that's really cool. Another one that I absolutely love. I love everything in here, but this is pretty sick. Nice little Mets shirt right there. Love the fact that it's orange too. Love the font. I love the design on this one. This is from 47. This one is gas. Can't get enough of it. Thank you so much again for that, Dave, as well. I'm going to be rocking this one really soon. And then we see here, we got another. And this one I appreciate a lot. And I appreciate this one a lot, especially because of the following. This is for my son, Shay. For those that don't know, I'm a father. Believe it or not, I have a son named Shay who's just over a year old. And Juan Soto is his favorite player. Why? Because in the same year that he was born is the same year that Juan Soto became a New York Met. So that's why we're happy about those things. But Dave, thank you again for everything that you sent my way. I can't wait to have Shay rock this shirt soon enough, along with all the other things that you sent in the past. I really do appreciate that. Let's see this. Phillies lost. Things you absolutely love to see. This tonight really can't get much better. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think it really can get all that much better out of everything that's been happening. I just realized I'm playing Rangers Suarez highlights right now, so I do apologize for that. Let's get the hell out of that, and let's get back to Mr. Ryan Helsley here for a second, everybody. But, folks, how are we feeling right now? The Mets have now obviously made their bullpen go from good to great, and we're going to expand more on that. I'm going to be live here still for the next 10 to tops 20 minutes to each and every one of you. We might go live one more time tonight if news does happen. Otherwise, I'm not entirely sure yet because tomorrow we're going to be going live for literally the entire day, and that's not an exaggeration as I say that either. Like, everything leading up until the deadline tomorrow, we're going to be live. Like, it's going to be hectic. But the good news about the Mets making these moves now is that's less that they're going to have to worry about doing tomorrow. That's encouraging. Tim with a $5 holla. Thank you so much for that, Tim. I appreciate that. Tim states the following. I think Stearns gets Roberts and his 996 OPS versus, I know his OPS versus lefties is almost 1,000. He's in the top 10 in WRC plus, at least out of the American League against lefties. I'm not exaggerating as I say that too. He's really good against southpaws. Below and Bader could be good too. They could be. As much as I don't love the idea of a Bader reunion, I know that it would be an upgrade over the Mets' current options in center field over Tyrone Taylor right now because TT has not been it. But maybe that gets a fire under Tyrone's ass to finally be good again. The way that he bested himself and Bader between the two, who was a better player down the stretch, it was absolutely Tyrone Taylor. That's why Bader lost all of his playing time in the final month and a half of the 2024 season. But as we also see, the other cap and baseball card and Mets watch. Thank you, Dave. That is correct. I have that stuff in my bedroom then. Next time that I'm back here, I'll do my best so I can showcase them. But I do know about all of them. Thank you so much for them. I do know exactly the card that you sent my way. What the hell?
That's how I paid for it. Do you know what you want?
Yeah, I think I do.
The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Lease a Hyundai Ioniq 5 SE
Yo,
for
Fangraphs.
or get 1.99% APR.
Why is Fangraphs the way it is? This is yet another time that Fangraphs has to go in and try to play all their ad reads on me. Why are you doing that, Fangraphs? You have one job. It's to not do that nonsense. And yet here you are doing that nonsense. Oh, it was just handed to me. Thank you so much for that. The watch. There we go. There's the Mets watch. Love to see it. So I don't have the hat and the other thing that you just said a second ago on me at the moment, but I was just handed the watch by a loved one because they were watching the live stream. They knew where it is. So again, Dave, thank you so much for that as well. That's a really sick little Mets watch. This I'm going to love as well when I'm working out or when I just want to make sure that I have a quick watch on my wrist and doing my runs among other things. This is what this is going to be perfect for especially. So thank you kindly for that. Also, apologies big time again if you guys just got absolutely smacked left, right, and center with my audio. That was horrendous. I know. Seriously. But guys, let's continue on the live show now to all of our live viewers, to over 1,000 of you, as we're breaking down not only this huge trade for the Mets, but ultimately what is next for them. To everyone that watches this on replay, I want to see your initial reactions, thoughts, and analysis in the comments down below to the Mets acquiring there and Mr. Ryan Helsley while giving up 3 prospects in Baez as well as Nate Dome and the other one that I'm going to butcher the last name on. As we continue on, everybody, thank you again so much for hitting that like and subscribe on your way in. Let's go on from there. Let's see. They are trying to grab your fans. At least they are honest about it. What are we talking about in the chat, Lizard? But guys, hit those buttons. Let's continue on the live show. To our replay viewers, this is where we're cutting things off.